The second part of the Vertex menu entries makes use of features we covered in the previous 3 videos, which you should watch before continuing here. Vertex Crease. We've already seen that the subdivision surface modifier subdivides and rounds the faces in the selected mesh. We also saw previously that one way of controlling the shape created is to add loop cuts. This menu option offers another way of controlling the shape created by the subdivision surface modifier, forcing a vertex to stay on or near its original position. Once this option has been selected from the menu, moving the mouse controls the strength of the effect. After we've clicked the left mouse button, in the last op panel, Factor is an alternative and more accurate way of controlling the strength of the effect. Values can range from 0 to 1. Rather than use the Vertex menu, we can also add a Vertex Crease by displaying the sidebar, and in the item page, changing the Vertex Crease value. Blend from Shape. This option offers a way of editing existing shape keys. More specifically, it is designed to place one or more vertices in one shape key in the position they occupy in a second shape key. To demonstrate the idea and explain the parameters available, we'll set up a cube with 3 shape keys. Basis, the original shape, key 1, with the top reduced in size, and key 2, with the top reduced in size even further. We've also used snapping to ensure exact positioning of the vertices in each key. By activating the Solo button, we can see how each of the shape keys affect the geometry of the cube. If we now change to Top View, we'll get a better idea of what's going on when we use Blend from Shape. Now, let's assume we've made a mistake in the shape of key 1, and we wanted to keep this selected vertex in its original position. To fix this, we first select Blend from Shape, and then in the last op panel, we set Shape to the key that has the vertex in the position that it was meant to be in when we constructed key 1. In this case, that is Basis. If instead we had wanted the vertex to be in the position defined in key 2, we would set Shape to that key. Blend acts as a multiplying factor for the repositioning. Set to the default value of 1, the selected vertex jumps exactly to the location matching its position in the key given in Shape. But if we set Blend to 2, its maximum value, then the vertex moves twice the original distance. If we set it to -1, it jumps the original distance, but in the opposite direction, and -2, the minimum value, it jumps twice that distance. If we activate the Add checkbox, then Blender calculates both the distance plus the difference in coordinates between the destination and the selected vertex, adjusts this by the blend value, then adds that value to the coordinates. For example, if we set Shape to Basis, then the distance is 2 units, as measured along the x and y directions, and the difference in coordinates as measured from Basis is -2 in both the x and y directions. Since distance plus difference totals 0, the selected vertex won't move irrespective of the blend value. If we set Shape to key 2, then we have a distance of 2 units and a difference of 2 in each direction, as measured from key 2's coordinates. This gives us a total of 4, and the vertex will then move in steps of 4 units, when blend is a whole number. Propagate to Shapes. The position of the selected vertex, or vertices, are copied to other keys. There are 3 shape keys in our demonstration cube. If we select 3 vertices in key 2, then execute Propagate to Shapes, the position of those vertices will be made identical in all 3 keys. Vertex Groups has a submenu with only one entry, when no vertex groups already exist in the selected object. Assign to New Group creates a new vertex group and assigns the currently selected vertices to that group. We'll rename this group Top and repeat the process to create a second vertex group called Base. Once at least one vertex group exists, the submenu expands to 7 entries. Assign to Active Group adds the selected vertices to the group currently highlighted in the vertex group list. Remove from Active Group removes the selected vertices from the highlighted group. This has no effect with vertices that are not defined within that group. Remove from All removes the selected vertices from all groups that they belong to. Set Active Group changes the highlight group to the one chosen from the submenu. Alternatively, we could just click on that group in the list. Remove Active Group deletes the highlighted group from the list. Alternatively, just click on the group, then the minus button. Remove All Groups deletes all vertex groups. Hooks. This another entry whose submenu expands once the selected object is assigned at least one hook modifier. Hook to New Object. We'll add an empty as a hook to the currently selected vertices. If we look in the Modifiers page of the Properties editor, we'll see that a hook modifier has been added with the object field already filled in and the vertices assigned. By the way, if the empty is not visible in the 3D viewport, it's probably because you've unchecked Extras in the Viewport Overlays panel. Hook to Selected Object. To use this option, we start by selecting the vertices we want to attach, and then hold down the Control key while clicking on the hook object. Alternatively, we can select the hook object by clicking it in the Outliner editor. Now we can select Hook to Selected Object. Again, the modifier appears in the Properties editor with the details entered. Note that the center point from which radius is measured when using the modifier's fall-off option is in the center of the hook object. Hook to Selected Bone is only appropriate when using an armature, and this is a topic for a future video. Assign to Hook replaces the vertices assigned to a hook with those vertices that are currently selected. The hook target combination to be changed is selected from the submenu that appears. Remove Hook removes a hook modifier from an object. The hook object combination to be affected is chosen from the submenu. Select Hook selects the vertices assigned to the hook object combination chosen in the submenu. Reset Hook returns the vertices associated with the hook to their original position. Recenter Hook moves the center point of the hook operation to the position of the 3D cursor. This can change the effect created only when fall-off is activated. Make Vertex Parent. While a hook uses an object to move a set of vertices, this command does exactly the opposite, allowing a vertex to move one or more objects. We are restricted to selecting only 1 or 3 vertices. When one vertex is used, the object will move along with that vertex. When 3 vertices are selected, the object will move when 1, 2, or all 3 of the vertices are subsequently moved. When two or all three of the original vertices are selected, the linked object will rotate along with the vertices. Rotation is centered on the midpoint of the original three vertices, irrespective of the vertices now selected. To clear the vertex object parenting, change to Object Mode, then select the child object, in this case, the sphere. Pressing Alt-P will display a pop-up menu from which we need to choose Clear Parent. The other options shown in this menu were explained in video 27. Finally, a less practical way of creating vertex object parenting is possible working only in Object Mode. We start by selecting the child object, the sphere, and then, holding down the Shift key, select the object containing the vertices to which the child is to be linked. Pressing Ctrl-P and selecting one of the last two options from the pop-up menu will link the child to one or three vertices in the second object. Which vertex or vertices are chosen seems to be based on those closest to the child object.